Last week, a reality star spent literally $100,000 on marriage counseling to, repair the damage of an alleged affair, only to be photographed days after her divorce filing doing root beer flow shots in Nashville with the exact man who blew up her life.
Right, and today we are looking at the precise breaking point where the reality television cameras stop being a lucrative paycheck and, honestly, start becoming a psychological prison.
Plus, we are also looking at the sheer thermodynamics of boiling citrus in July.
Because that is a very real crisis we need to discuss.
Welcome to Tuesday morning on the Snark side, Bags. The Ghost Energy drinks have been cracked open, the caffeine is officially overriding my nervous system, and we are back on our absolute bullshit.
We are so incredibly back, fully strapped in for the chaos.
And let's just be completely honest with each other right out of the gate. To the Snark squad, our people, our tribe, you are here because you are entirely in on the joke, and we love you endlessly for it.
We truly do.
Wherever you are right this very second, whether you are trapped in your car in horrific bumper-to-bumper traffic, or you're sitting at your desk at work, or let's be real, actively avoiding the spreadsheets you are supposed to be formatting, we hope you have the messiest day possible.
But strictly in a spectator capacity, right? We don't want you actively ruining your own life.
Exactly. Messy in a way where you can just sit back, sip your iced coffee, and enjoy the absolute carnage of other people's heavily monetized drama without actually having to pay the emotional toll yourself.
Because, babes, we are delusional, we are tired, and we demand entertainment.
We really do. And it is actually wild to sit here and think about the dichotomy of our lives right now. We talk about this all the time. But the absurd reality is that we are both literal medical professionals.
Right. We are dentists. We have advanced medical degrees.
We do. And yet, our days today are polar opposites, and we are currently vibrating at a high frequency to dissect Bravo contract negotiations.
It's the duality of man, honestly. Let's do a quick Rose and Thorns check-in for the upcoming workday.
Oh, God, okay. I'll start with my thorn. My office schedule today looks like a Tetris board that someone actively gave up on.
Oh, no.
I am so slammed, I am chaotic, I am overbooked, and I am running purely on vibes, and whatever is left of this iced latte, it's a disaster.
See, my Rose is that I have a suspiciously calm, incredibly light schedule. It is almost too quiet.
Don't say that. You know the rule.
I know. But I'm just sitting in my pristine, perfectly sanitized office, staring at the wall, just waiting for the inevitable chaos to hit. Because you know the reality of our profession.
I do, and it terrifies me.
The second you say it's quiet, someone walks in having shattered their front porcelain crown on a frozen Uncrustable.
It's the dental curse.
Yeah.
You never say the Q word in a clinical setting. Never.
You really don't.
But, when we look at a patient's x-rays in our day jobs, there's this expectation of scientific precision. It's binary.
Right.
You find the cavity, the radiograph shows the exact depth of the decay, and you just point and say, there is the problem. We drill here, we fill here.
It's clean. You apply the composite resin, you cure it, you go home. Boom. Done.
It is so comforting. We like things to be visible and easily categorized, but then you step into the world of reality television and celebrity gossip, and suddenly that x-ray machine is completely broken.
Oh, shattered. Completely unusable.
We're looking at a diagnostic landscape that is entirely murky, driven by ego, PR spin, and just terrible financial decisions.
It is the absolute definition of diagnostic muddy waters, which is why we need to recalibrate our brains before we even get into the mess today.
And speaking of recalibrating brains, I have to bring this up before we get into the news. I have a new obsession, and I am fully, unapologetically spiraling about it.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Babes, we need to talk about head spas.
Okay, let's unpack this, because my phone has been buzzing nonstop with your texts about this place, unhinged amounts of texts.
It is life-changing magic.
Yeah.
The scalp massage alone. I felt like my physical body was still in the chair, but my consciousness had ascended to a higher dimension.
A higher dimension. From a shampoo.
Yes. They do this professional shampoo where they use these little silicone scrubbers, and the water falls, like a targeted waterfall, directly onto your cranial stress points. I felt like a newborn baby being baptized in expensive Japanese serums.
Wow.
And I have absolutely no shame in admitting to you and to the Snark squad right now that I already booked another 90-minute treatment for this coming weekend.
Wait, already? Didn't you just go?
I don't care. Because peace is required. I want them to physically scrub the bad decisions right out of my brainstem. No shame at all.
I love this journey for you. I really do. You are out here manifesting inner peace through aggressive scalp exfoliation.
Exactly.
But while we are on the topic of bizarre aesthetic trends and things people are obsessed with for the sake of their mental health, I have a bone to pick.
Oh, God. What is it?
I need to bring up a debate that has been living rent-free in my analytical mind for the last 48 hours.
Okay, lay it on me.
Simmer pots.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes. The vibe. The ultimate summer vibe.
Yeah. No, not the vibe. Let's apply some basic critical thinking and thermodynamics here.
Well, here we go with the science.
People do simmer pots in the fall and the winter. We understand the logic there, right? You throw some cinnamon sticks, some cloves, some dried apple slices into a pot of water. It creates a cozy atmosphere.
Yeah, the house smells like a Williams-Sonoma. It's gorgeous.
Right, and it makes logical sense because the air in your house in December is dry from the heating system, and you want to introduce moisture and warmth, but in the dead of summer.
The whole sensory experience.
Is this really a thing we're doing? Are we actively boiling water in July just for the aesthetic?
Absolutely we are.
But babe, do we really need that viral glass pot from TikTok boiling on the stove when it is 95 degrees outside with 80% humidity?
Yeah.
You are literally just adding hot, sticky, heavy moisture to your kitchen to make it smell like a hot lemon.
Okay, you are missing the entire psychological point of the summer simmer pot. It is not about thermodynamics.
What is it about then? Ruining your drywall?
No. It is about reclaiming control over your environment. You put the clear glass pot on the stove because the visual is crucial. You get to see the little bubbles and the bright yellow lemons dancing with the sprigs of fresh rosemary.
Dancing lemons. Okay.
Yes. And it just screams, I have my life together. It screams, I'm a coastal grandmother summering in the Hamptons, even if I am actually just sweating in my two-bedroom apartment.
Sweating being the operative word there.
It's about the aesthetic of a clean, fresh, citrus-scented summer home. It's an illusion of domestic perfection.
But you have the central air conditioning blasting on overdrive to combat the physical heat radiating from the stove that is actively boiling the water. It is an energy crisis masquerading as a Pinterest board.
I don't care about the utility bill.
What's fascinating to me is the lengths people will go to for a digital aesthetic, completely ignoring the physical reality of a sweaty, humid kitchen. You are literally fighting your own HVAC system.
I will fiercely defend the summer simmer pot. Sometimes the mental health benefit of seeing a beautiful, bubbling pot of rosemary and grapefruit just outweighs the electricity cost. It just does.
Look, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is just another form of curated delusion, which we love. We're willing to make ourselves physically uncomfortable if the lighting is right.
Thank you.
But, and I hate to admit this, I will say, if you get the right angle for an Instagram story, the rosemary does look kind of chic floating in the glass pot. Maybe the aesthetic is worth the structural damage.
See, I knew you'd see the light. I am slowly convincing you.
Strictly from a visual branding standpoint, sure.
Well, there is a massive psychological leap between trying to control your physical environment with a simmer pot and trying to control a public relations narrative. Which brings us perfectly to the daily gossip recap.
The transition is flawless.
Babes, we have to dive straight into the Scamanda fallout on Summer House. I am emotionally exhausted by this entire situation.
Let's do it, because the mechanics of what Amanda Batula is trying to pull off right now are fascinating.
Right. So, Amanda Batula, she has allegedly completely deleted the Instagram app off her phone. She is doing a highly publicized digital detox.
For her mental health and to find a sense of normalcy, quote unquote.
Exactly. She did this whole somber post on April 10th. Let me read the exact quote, because the juxtaposition of what she says versus what she actually does is sending me into orbit.
Please read it. The Snark squad needs the verbatim text.
She wrote on her story, I've obviously been MIA, but I wanted to come back on and say that I'm truly sorry to everyone I've disappointed and hurt. For the sake of my mental health, I'm going to try to start living life with some sense of normalcy.
Wow.
And she said the situation weighs very heavily on me.
Right, a very serious, profound retreat from the public eye to process her shame and the fallout of her marriage to Kyle Cook.
Yes, but then, cut to mere days later, she is at a New York Yankees and Kansas City Royals game, sitting in the stands and making out with Wes Wilson on the massive stadium jumbotron.
Playing tonsil hockey for tens of thousands of sports fans and whoever happens to be recording on their phones, which in 2026 is literally everyone in the tri-state area.
Everyone. How do you go from, I need to delete the app off my phone because the public backlash is destroying my peace, to, let's suck face on a high-definition screen the size of a commercial building?
It's a massive pivot.
Is this a desperate PR move to rebrand as the carefree couple who just can't hide their love? Or is it genuine, unchecked delusion? Like, what is happening in her brain?
Well, if we look at the actual mechanics of a stadium jumbotron appearance, it completely destroys the narrative that this was an accident.
Wait, really? You think it was planned?
Oh, absolutely. Stadium camera operators do not just pan the crowd randomly hoping to find a recognizable Bravo celebrity. That's not how it works.
They don't.
No. The PR reps for these stars will literally call the stadium's media relations team ahead of time. They give them the exact section, the row, and the seat number. They orchestrate the drop.
Oh my God, my jaw is on the floor.
Furthermore, when the camera actually finds you, there is a massive red tally light on the lens, and you can see yourself on the screen with a 10-second delay. You know the camera is there. You know the public is watching.
That makes it so much worse.
It does. It raises an important question about how reality stars process shame. In a normal, non-televised world, when you blow up your marriage and alienate your friend group, you hide. You stay inside and eat ice cream.
Right, you disappear.
But in the reality TV echo chamber, relevance is oxygen. They are doubling down on the controversy because the alternative is being forgotten before the reunion even films.
Wow. Well, the rest of the cast is absolutely disgusting, and honestly, I am living for the authentic reactions. KJ Dillard took to Threads, which, shout out to KJ for single-handedly keeping the Threads app alive.
Truly doing the Lord's work over there.
He did not hold back. He was incredibly analytical in his disgust.
He called them sickos.
Sickos. It's such a visceral, specific word. Like, he said he literally threw up in his mouth seeing the video.
A very measured response.
And then he added, "Thank God Kansas City claims me." Basically distancing himself entirely from whatever performative New York nonsense Amanda and West are pulling.
And then you have Kyle Cook, Amanda's estranged husband. He expresses blatant disappointment online. He was reacting to the video, and his phrasing was so disjointed you could feel the actual shock bypassing his usual PR filter.
What did he say?
He wrote, "Was not prepared to see that, and that, and that."
Oh, the repetition.
Oh,
and that, and that. You can vividly picture Kyle just staring at his iPhone screen, watching the clip loop over and over, just watching his estranged wife publicize her new romance in the most aggressively visual way possible.
It's brutal. But the ripple effects are what really matter for the show's infrastructure. Sierra Miller, who was briefly involved with West and was best friends with Amanda, is on the cover of Glamour magazine right now.
Good for her, honestly.
Right. But she called the whole situation a major mindfuck. She said having to see what she thought was her real life play out as a deception on season 10 is incredibly difficult to process.
Which brings us to Jesse Solomon, because he just did an interview with ABC News Live. And he is playing the diplomat, but you can tell he is stressed out of his mind.
Oh, he's terrified of saying the wrong thing. He's hoping for resolution at the reunion, which is a highly optimistic reading of how Bravo reunions actually function.
Totally. When the interviewer asked if he had spoken to Ciara about the scandal, he got super evasive. He said, "We keep in touch, but I'll let her speak for herself."
He completely refused to step on that landline.
Refused. Because previously, Jesse decided not to pursue Ciara solely because of how West would react.
It's the intersection of the bro code and reality TV survival tactics. He doesn't want to alienate the audience by defending West, but he doesn't want to blow up his spot on the show by attacking him either.
It's so messy.
But I have a question for you. If this Jumbotron moment was a calculated PR move, as the mechanics suggest, why execute it so sloppily? Why do it when the backlash is at its absolute peak?
Because I don't think they are calculating the long-term ROI. I think it is an impulsive, desperate grab for control. What stands out to me is the absolute hypocrisy of the digital detox.
Right, the timing is insane.
You cannot claim you want a private life. You cannot claim you are stepping back for your mental health and then actively participate in a stadium-wide public display of affection with the exact person who is the center of the controversy.
It makes no logical sense.
It feels like they are trying to force a rom-com narrative down our throats. Like, look how happy we are. We were just two crazy kids in love at a baseball game, ignoring the haters.
Yeah.
But it just comes off as incredibly tone-deaf and disrespectful to Kyle and Ciara.
It's performative damage control at its worst. But if Amanda Batula is trying to control the narrative for free at a baseball game, The cast of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is paying premium retail for their damage control.
Oh my God.
We have to connect this summer house cheating fallout directly to the ultimate reality TV crossover betrayal happening over in Utah.
Yes, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I am literally unwell over this TMZ report. My jaw physically dropped to the floor when I read this.
Let's lay out the facts for the Snark Squad. We are talking about Jesse Draper from Siloam NW and Marciano Burnett from Vanderpump Villa.
The ultimate unholy alliance. The Nashville Kiss.
They're so dark.
TMZ reported that Jesse and Marciano were spotted together hanging out at the Red Door Saloon in Nashville. And they weren't just standing in a corner looking awkward, okay? They were hugging, they were laughing, they were doing root beer float shots at the bar.
Root beer float shots, of course.
And an eyewitness saw Marciano kiss Jesse on the cheek.
Now, let's provide the broader context here, because this is where the financial and emotional math gets incredibly dark. We need to talk about the $100,000 irony.
Bring the receipts. I need the number.
In Season 3 of Siloam NW, Jesse's now ex-husband, Jordan Ngadikara, had a sit-down confrontation with Marciano. Jordan looked Marciano directly in the eye and stated on camera that he and Jesse had gone through close to $100,000 in therapy.
I still cannot process that number.
$100,000. Trying to save their marriage and work through the trauma of Jesse's emotional affair with Marciano.
An emotional affair which, let's remind everyone, Jesse claimed involved exactly 2 kisses at Castello Rosado, but absolutely 0 sex. She even took a literal polygraph test on camera to prove she didn't sleep with him.
While Marciano, of course, originally claimed they did sleep together before backtracking and blaming Jesse's former friend Demi Engman for urging him to make that accusation just to secure a storyline.
It is a web of toxicity.
It really is. Jesse said that for 6 months, things behind closed doors were the worst they had ever been, with Jordan allegedly blackmailing her and threatening to release private texts.
So they spend $100,000 on therapy. Babes, let's contextualize that number. Do you know how many porcelain veneers you can buy for $100,000?
Quite a few.
You could fully restore 4 separate mouths. And after all of that money, all that screaming, all of those intense counseling sessions, Jordan officially files for divorce in March. He files for a restraining order against her, which a judge denies. And what does Jessie do the minute she is legally free?
She gets on a plane to Nashville and does root beer float shots with the exact man who triggered the entire collapse of her life.
It is a reality TV tornado. They're destroying marriages, they are liquidating bank accounts, they're destroying their own mental health. For what? At what point do we look at this and admit that the therapy was just a sunk cost fallacy?
A very expensive one.
If you are genuinely traumatized by Marciano nearly ruining your marriage with false claims of sleeping together, why are you letting him kiss your cheek in a dive bar in Nashville?
Because the reality TV machine financially incentivizes the betrayal. If we analyze the psychology of this, Jessie's identity and her primary source of income are now intrinsically tied to her proximity to this scandal.
Ugh, you're so right.
The affair is her brand. If she walks away and lives a quiet life, she loses her spot on the Hulu roster.
No.
Doing shots in Nashville guarantees her a storyline for season 4.
That is so deeply cynical, but it is entirely accurate. It hurts because it's true.
But we also have to look at the other side of the Utah chaos, which is taking a much darker, much more serious turn away from manufactured bar drama. Dakota Mortensen just released a major statement on Instagram regarding his situation with Taylor Frankie Paul.
This entire situation is just incredibly grim. I hate even talking about it.
It is. Following the release of those incredibly graphic police photos showing the aftermath of their February domestic violence incident where both Dakota and Taylor appeared bloodied and heavily bruised, the Utah police have announced they are filing no criminal charges against either party.
How does that even work legally? If there are photos of actual physical injuries, how did the police just walk away?
Well, in domestic violence cases, if the police cannot definitively determine the primary physical aggressor, and if neither party is willing to press charges or testify against the other, prosecutors often feel they don't have a viable case to bring to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt.
Wow.
It leaves the entire situation in this horrific, volatile limbo.
Which is terrifying when there are children involved. So Dakota posted a statement saying he is taking a step back and away from the chaos. He says his focus is entirely on being a good parent and providing a safe, healthy environment for his son, ever.
He wrote that he regrets not stepping back sooner, and he apologized to the people he's hurt. He's stepping out of the spotlight to work on healing.
Good.
And legally, a family court judge previously granted Dakota custody of Ever. Taylor Frankie Paul currently has 8 hours of supervised visitation weekly, with another custody hearing scheduled for the end of April. He even included resources for domestic violence help at the bottom of his Instagram post.
It is just so heady. You have this one faction of the cast spending $100,000 on therapy just to go do shots with the affair partner for a storyline, and then you have this very real, very dangerous domestic violence situation playing out in the legal system with a child caught in the middle.
It's jarring.
It makes the entire Secret Lives of Mormon Wives universe feel incredibly fragile.
That chasm between manufactured Hulu drama and actual family court consequences is exactly why the stakes in this industry are so completely warped.
Totally.
When you look at what people are willing to endure for the camera in Utah, you start to understand the absolute audacity of the contract negotiations over in Beverly Hills.
Oh, the Beverly Hills dilution is a completely different tax bracket. We have to pivot to the West Coast.
Yeah.
Because the updates coming out of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills are pure, out-of-touch chaos.
Let's unpack the Amanda Frances and Bozoma St. John feud first.
Bozoma went for the jugular. She did not hold back.
She really didn't. Bozoma did an interview with Extra TV teasing the upcoming Season 15 reunion, and she was brutal. She went incredibly hard at the newbie, Amanda Frances.
Let's just pause and define who Amanda Frances actually is for anyone who isn't caught up.
Yeah.
She calls herself the Money Queen.
The Money Queen.
Yes. She claims to be a financial empowerment life coach who helps people manifest wallets that fit their mindset. She sells these digital courses on how to align your frequency with wealth.
Right, and according to Bozoma St. John, that business model means Amanda is running a cult.
A literal cult. Bozoma accused her of starting a cult and scamming her buyers out of their funds because Amanda could never clearly explain to the cast what she actually does for a living to be the primary breadwinner of her family.
And Amanda fired back on social media, suggesting Bozoma is just jealous and highly critical because her own business ventures failed.
The audacity.
Which, if we look at brand architecture, is a wild accusation to hurl. Bozoma St. John is a powerhouse corporate executive. She was the chief marketing officer at Netflix. She worked at Apple Music. She was an executive at Uber. She has a tangible, verifiable corporate resume.
Exactly. So Bozoma was furious. She said, quote, "What I don't appreciate is when it's made to seem as if my accomplishments, of which there are many, are not there. I think that's disrespectful.
It's going to be a bloodbath."
This reunion is going to be corporate resumes versus manifestation vision boards. I cannot wait.
But amidst all of these scam allegations, Amanda Frances also just dropped a massive personal update to distract from the cult claims.
The wedding. I actually squealed when I saw the photos because I am a sucker for good aesthetics. She announced a surprise courthouse wedding to her fiancé, Eddie Sivaslavsky.
Talk about a pivot.
They actually got married back on September 9th, 2025 in a private civil ceremony in Laguna Hills.
And the visual details were highly curated for maximum engagement.
So curated, it was a mix of black and white and color photos. She wore this chic white dress with ruffles on one shoulder. And their blended family, they have 4 kids between them, all wore light blue for the occasion. It was undeniably adorable.
But there's a catch.
Always a catch. The kicker is she teased another date in the caption, October 10th, 2026, saying, "Just y'all wait, lol way."
So she secured the legal marriage in private, but there's a massive, extravagant, undoubtedly Bravo-filmed wedding coming this fall.
So we have manifestation, cult allegations, and secret courthouse weddings. But if we want to talk about true Beverly Hills financial audacity, we have to talk about Lisa Rinna, the ransom.
The Rinna ransom! Lisa Rinna recently did an interview with the LA Times. She left the show in 2023 after 8 seasons. Andy Cohen called it an iconic run and hoped it was just a pause.
A pause.
But now she is explicitly revealing her price to return to the franchise. She admitted she would come back to RHOBH, but only if they pay her $5 million.
Wait, because her husband, Harry Hamlin, immediately stepped in during the interview and corrected her.
Right. Harry Hamlin apparently interjected and said, no, $10 million, and you can go back.
$10 billion for one single housewife. Is Bravo secretly printing money in a basement at 30 Rock that we don't know about?
Mm-hmm.
Are they running an illegal mint?
Probably not.
I need to challenge you on this. If you are Andy Cohen and you are looking at the ratings and you're looking at this multi-million-dollar ransom, do you pay the Rinna toll just to save the franchise's ratings?
Yep.
Let's do the math. If a 30-second ad spot on Bravo costs $150,000 and Lisa Rinna's return brings in an extra 500,000 live viewers a week, doesn't she pay for herself in a single season through advertising revenue?
Analytically speaking, your math on the ad revenue might be correct in a vacuum, but you are ignoring the structural economics of ensemble television. Absolutely not. You do not pay her.
Why not?
$10 million completely shatters the compensation model for the entire network.
How so?
Because of most favored nation clauses and precedent. In reality TV contracts, top-tier talent often have clauses that stipulate no other cast member can make significantly more than them.
Oh, I see.
If Evolution Media, the production company, pays Lisa Rinna $10 million, what does Teresa Giudice demand the next morning? What does Kyle Richards ask for? You would bankrupt the production company for a single cast member who, quite frankly, had alienated half the audience with her toxicity by the time she left anyway.
That's a very fair point.
You cannot demand an NBA-level contract to throw a glass of wine at a dinner party.
Okay, that actually makes total sense. You break the ceiling for Rinna, and the entire house collapses.
Exactly.
But speaking of Kyle Richards, Teddy Mellencamp just revealed some fascinating real estate details on her podcast regarding Kyle and her sister, Kim Richards.
This was the tough love eviction story.
Yes. Back in January 2025, Kyle filed a formal lawsuit to evict Kim from an Encino condo that Kyle had bought specifically for her to live in. Kim never responded to the summons, so Kyle won by default in March, and Kim was legally ordered to move out.
It sounded so incredibly cold when it first hit the blogs. Like, why is Kyle Richards, who has generational wealth, making her vulnerable sister homeless over a condo?
That's exactly what I thought. But Teddy clarified the actual truth behind the legal maneuver. She said Kyle and Kathy Hilton told Kim, "You need to get help if you want us to keep paying for you."
It was a financial tough love move.
Exactly. The eviction was a mechanism to cut off her safety net and force Kim to seek help and get sober.
And honestly, it seems like it worked. Teddy said Kim is still very well taken care of financially by the family, and both Teddy and Kathy Hilton have confirmed that Kim is now living in Florida and doing much better away from the Los Angeles spotlight.
Even Kyle confirmed her progress at the season 14 reunion.
It is a rare instance of a reality TV legal maneuver actually serving a healthy, rehabilitative purpose rather than just generating a storyline. It was essentially a real estate intervention.
Which is a beautiful thing, honestly. But before we leave Beverly Hills real estate, we have to talk about Yolanda Hadid's lavender farm.
Ah, yes, the 32-acre Pennsylvania estate.
She just relisted it for $10.8 million. She had a buyer back in September 2025, but the sale fell through at the last minute. So what does Yolanda do?
I'm sure she handled it very practically.
She puts a highly optimistic, incredibly Yolanda spin on it. She said she sees the sale falling through as a gift from the universe for more sunsets and more meaning on the farm.
And she planted more lavender.
3,000 new lavender plants. She called it an act of faith and promise to the land. Can you imagine the sheer economics of planting 3,000 lavender bushes just because your escrow fell through?
Well, I doubt Yolanda was out there in the dirt with a trowel planting all 3,000 by hand.
Definitely not.
But the aesthetic commitment to the property is impressive. She originally bought it as a haven for healing after her Lyme disease diagnosis, and it features a massive 8,000 square foot stone barn. It's an incredible piece of real estate.
Beverly Hills operates on this delusion of infinite resources. You plant 3,000 lavender bushes or you demand $10 million. But when you move to the East Coast franchises, that delusion turns into sheer desperation.
Let's transition to the East Coast, because the situation with the Real Housewives of Miami is baffling on a mechanical level.
I am so mad about this. So Bravo put RHOM on an indefinite pause, and Alexia Nipola and Marisol Patton did an interview with Page 6, where they literally blamed the fans for the show being paused.
The logic here is truly something to behold.
Alexia said, "All these Bravo fans need to watch our show. Our show's so popular, but where are these Bravo fans? We need them." She is begging fans to physically turn their televisions on.
Wow.
And Marisol backed her up, saying she interacts with fans daily in real life who know who they are, so the low viewership numbers don't make sense to her. Alexia literally argued, "The ratings don't reflect what our popularity is."
What's fascinating here is their complete disconnect from how modern television metrics actually work.
Explain it to them.
You can be famous on Instagram, your sound bites can be a recognizable meme on TikTok, but if people are not logging into Peacock or turning on the Bravo network to watch the Nielsen-rated broadcast, the show fails. They are conflating social media visibility with actual, monetizable television viewership. The network cannot sell ads against a TikTok meme.
Yes, say it louder for the people in Miami. But the darkest, most unhinged part of this interview is Alexia saying, despite the franchise being put on pause, the cast's life continues.
Life continues is a very polite, sanitized way to describe the legal nightmare happening to Lisa Hochstein.
It is painfully true, but not in a fun, glamorous way. Lisa Hochstein just turned herself in at a Miami jail on an active felony warrant.
It's crazy.
She is accused of allegedly bugging her ex-husband, Lenny Hochstein's car. She is facing potential years in prison if convicted of this crime.
And let's break down the mechanics of why this is a felony. Florida is a two-party consent state regarding recording and wiretapping. You cannot secretly record someone's private conversations without their explicit knowledge and consent. It is a severe violation of state law.
Right.
And Alexia has the audacity to blame the viewers for the pause when her co-star is dealing with active felony wiretapping charges.
Exactly. Shouldn't the impending prison time be enough to get the cameras rolling again?
Yeah.
If I am a producer at Bravo, I am sending a camera crew to the Miami-Dade courthouse immediately. How do you pause a show when one of those main cast members might be doing a hard time?
Because it raises a massive issue regarding Bravo's current risk assessment. With all the recent lawsuits and scandals across the network, the Bethany Frankel reckoning, the Leah McSweeney lawsuits, they might be actively avoiding filming a state criminal case in real time.
Oh, that makes sense.
If they film Lisa discussing the wiretapping, prosecutors can subpoena the raw, unedited footage to use against her in court. The production company might view Lisa's felony warrant as a massive legal liability rather than a lucrative storyline.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the subpoenas for the raw footage. That makes complete sense from a corporate standpoint, but as a viewer, I am deprived of the mess.
I know, it's a tragedy for the audience.
Meanwhile, up in New Jersey, Teresa Giudice is trying to strategically secure her future.
Season 15 of RHOM is looming after a very dark, very alienating Season 14, and Teresa was just spotted out in Los Angeles.
Clinking drinks poolside. She posted on her Instagram stories from La La Land, and the fan accounts immediately clocked exactly who she is with.
They miss nothing.
Nothing. She tagged 2 rumored Season 15 newbies, Latina sisters, Xiomara Lara Cuente and Juliet Colasso. Juliet even posted a photo saying L.A. for a few with Teresa and her sister, and Teresa commented with 3 red hearts saying, love, love, love.
It is a strategic alliance. Teresa knows the cast is fracturing. Her fragile truce with Melissa Gorga is allegedly already falling apart behind the scenes, so Teresa is taking the new blood under her wing before cameras even go up. She is solidifying her voting bloc.
She is playing chess while the rest of them are playing checkers. But speaking of New Jersey strategy, I have to bring up Danielle Cabral because I cringed out loud. I physically curled into a ball when I read this.
The Bethany Frankel story.
Yes. So Danielle, who is reportedly not returning for Season 15, decides to post a random 2-year-old story about meeting her idol, Bethany Frankel, at a movie premiere back in 2024.
And why exactly did she choose to post it now?
Because she felt inspired by Billie Eilish meeting Justin Bieber at Coachella.
I cannot.
She literally compared herself meeting Bethany Frankel to Billie Eilish meeting Justin Bieber. She said she has always connected with Bethany on a deeper level, that her work ethic and psychotic level of determination mimic Bethany's.
And how did the actual meeting go? Because I imagine it was awkward.
Bethany happened to sit next to her in the movie theater, and Danielle completely froze. So her husband Nate had to lean over and make the introduction. Danielle says she tried for years to get a meeting with Bethany to talk about business ventures, and when she finally met her in the flesh, she couldn't even speak properly.
It is an incredibly transparent attempt to align her personal brand with a titan of reality television. Bethany Frankel's brand architecture is studied in business schools. Danielle Cabral sells a line of children's clothes called Bougie Kids.
It's just not the same.
The comparison is a massive stretch, but you have to admire the strategic delusion. She is trying to borrow Bethany's credibility by proxy.
It is secondhand embarrassment at its finest. But let's keep moving down the coast of Potomac, where the delusion is purely financial.
Robin Dixon is officially returning to the Real Housewives of Potomac.
After being benched, she announced she was fired, for lack of better words, after Season 8 because she hid the Juan Dixon cheating scandal behind a Patreon paywall instead of addressing it on the show. But now she is back for Season 11.
As a friend of the cast, not a full-time housewife, And an insider reported to the blogs that she is doing it strictly because she needs the money.
Which, honestly, I respect the hustle and the honesty of the insider. Just get the check, babe. But Robin has been busy. She just debuted a new tattoo on her Reasonably Shady podcast.
A mother-son matching tattoo, right?
Yes, with her older son, Corey. They both got this design on their wrists. The Roman numeral 3, an Aries ram symbol in the middle, because they are both Aries, and then the Roman numeral 21 for Corey's birthday on March 21st.
Okay, that's sweet.
And apparently this was a compromise because Corey wanted full tattoo sleeves like other basketball players his age, and Robin stepped in and said, let's start with a nice little meaningful matching wrist tattoo first.
It is a genuinely cute bonding moment, and she said if her younger son, Carter, feels left out that she has a matching tattoo with his dad and his brother, she'll get one for him too.
That's sweet.
It feels like a very normal, grounding moment for someone about to step back into the reality TV meat grinder strictly for a network paycheck.
It does. It brings us back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
We can dissect the strategy of a Patreon paywall or a Bethany Frankel photo op all day, but at a certain point, the reality TV machine collides with actual, terrifying human fragility.
Which brings us to the heavier section today.
Right. Because while most of this gossip is fun, and we can laugh about $10 million demands, some reality stars are facing incredibly heavy real-world consequences.
Let's start with the news from the teen mom universe, because the situation with Janelle Evans is devolving rapidly.
The legal mess just never ends for her.
It is grim. The Ashley's Reality Roundup exclusively reported that a formal motion to show cause was filed in family court on April 15th by Janelle's mother, Barbara Evans, and her son, Jace's father, Andrew Lewis.
Oh, boy.
They are asking a judge to hold Janelle in contempt of the 2023 custody court order regarding Jace.
Let's break down what actually happened here, because the mechanics of this are terrifying. Back in 2023, Barbara and Janelle signed a legally binding consent order. It gave Janelle primary custody and Barbara secondary custody.
Right.
But that secondary custody guaranteed Barbara visitation rights and full access to Jace's medical records.
Which is standard. But in February, Janelle placed Jace in a mental health facility for about a month. Barbara and Andrew, as secondary custodians, wanted him released into their care.
Right.
Instead, late last month, Janelle pulled Jace from the facility and took him to an undisclosed location.
She completely cut off all contact between Jace and Barbara. Andrew says he hasn't been permitted to see or talk to his own son. Janelle went on a podcast and claimed she was getting alternative help for Jace, saying he is in a safe place with a, and I quote, spelling included holistical approach.
Holistical.
Yes, holistical. Yeah. And her estranged sister Ashley took to X to publicly predict that Janelle is going to be arrested.
That's a bold claim to make publicly.
Ashley said Janelle is in big-time contempt and that their extended family is terrified for Jace's safety. She even posted a GIF of Janelle's many previous mugshots, saying she is just waiting for the next one to drop.
When you have a judge-signed court order mandating that secondary custodians have access to a child, and you vanish with that child to an undisclosed holistical location, you are in direct, flagrant violation of family court.
It's so reckless.
The hearing is set for May 26th. If the judge finds her in contempt, the consequences are severe. It isn't just a fine. It can mean immediate jail time or the permanent loss of custody. It is a tragic situation for a teenager who has spent his entire life on camera.
It really is. It forces you to realize that behind the reality TV cameras, these are real children whose lives and medical records are being weaponized.
It's the dark side of the industry.
And speaking of terrifying medical realities, we have to talk about what happened to Fraser Olander from Below Deck.
This was genuinely shocking. The news came out of the Las Culturistas podcast with Matt Rogers.
Yes, so Fraser and comedian Matt Rogers have been dating for about 3 months, and they finally went public on the red carpet at BravoCon 2025.
Okay, setting the scene.
And Matt revealed that right after they took a press photo together, Fraser literally suffered a heart attack in front of him.
At BravoCon, the sheer sensory overload of that environment alone is insane.
Exactly. You are at a reality TV convention surrounded by screaming fans, and suddenly your partner is experiencing intense chest pains, cannot get comfortable, and is severely short of breath. Matt said it was terrifying. They had to immediately bail on the rest of the night.
And they didn't know what it was at first. They thought maybe it was a panic attack or severe stress from the crowd.
Which would make sense.
It wasn't until Fraser flew back to London, saw a cardiologist, and went through multiple tests that he was given a definitive diagnosis.
Vape poisoning.
Vape poisoning caused a myocardial infarction.
It is insane to think about. A strawberry-flavored USB stick, almost took out the chief stew.
It's terrifying.
Frazier went on Instagram afterward and begged his followers to give up vaping cold turkey. He wrote, "I could have died for the sake of something so ridiculously stupid."
And if we look at the physiology of it, the high concentration of nicotine and the aerosolized chemicals in those vapes can cause massive vasoconstriction. It clamps down your blood vessels and spikes your heart rate,
Right, which makes your heart work so much harder.
which can absolutely trigger a cardiac event, even in someone young and healthy. And the sheer intensity of that health scare so early in their relationship caused them to take a pause.
Understandably.
Matt explained on the podcast that while Fraser is away working at an undisclosed location, they decided to take a little bit of space just because of how fast and heavy everything got with the medical emergency.
Which is incredibly understandable. You are 3 months in, you are at a Bravo convention, and someone's heart literally stops because of a vape pen. Take a breath. Take some space. Recalibrate.
But on a lighter relationship note, we do have a reconciliation to shout out in New York.
Yes. Next Gen NYC stars Ariana Bierman and Hudson McElroy are seemingly back together.
They amicably split 6 months ago, back in October 2025, releasing a statement saying their lives were simply moving in different directions.
But Ariana just posted a video on Instagram, lounging on the beach, lip-syncing to Drake, and a mystery man's hand is gently brushing her hair.
The soft launch?
The ultimate soft launch. Fans immediately zoomed in and clocked the tattoos on the forearm. They perfectly match Hudson's ink. Plus, Hudson previously posted a story holding hands with a girl who had Ariana's exact custom manicure.
They're not being very subtle.
Not at all. Her sister Brielle and mom Kim Zolciak are in the comments cheering them on. It's just nice to see young reality stars figure it out and take space without burning the entire house down.
Which perfectly leads us to our final story of the day, a palate cleanser. The absolute rarest of events in the unscripted television universe, a mature, healthy, emotionally intelligent breakup.
Love on the Spectrum stars Abby Romeo and David Isaacman.
Season 4 dropped on Netflix, and shortly after, they announced they had officially broken up. Fans were panicked, immediately assuming the worst, looking for some hidden drama or scandal.
Naturally, because we are trained to look for the mess. But Abby's mom, Christine, went on YouTube to shut down all the dramatic rumors immediately. She said they filmed the season nearly a year ago. There was absolutely no fight over rings, no screaming match over engagements. She called the dramatic clickbait headlines bullshit.
The reality of the split was beautifully simple. They wanted different things out of life.
Exactly.
Christine explained that when Abby said she wanted to get married on the show, what she really meant was she wanted to feel like a normal person in the world and experience the traditional markers of a relationship.
The milestones.
It was about the idea of the celebration, the dress, the milestones, not necessarily the day-to-day reality of moving in together and merging finances.
And David was perfectly happy, keeping his life exactly as it was. They didn't have a screaming match. They didn't spend $100,000 on therapy just to go to a saloon in Nashville to spite each other.
They really didn't.
They just realized they had different outlooks on life, and they parted ways amicably. Christine said they will have a forever bond and remain friends.
It's a stunning display of self-awareness and healthy boundaries.
It really is. It makes me want to scream. Why is it that the cast of Love on the Spectrum has more emotional intelligence, more grace, and better conflict resolution skills than every single person on Bravo and Hulu combined?
Because they are communicating their authentic needs, rather than performing a heightened version of themselves for a camera or a contract renewal. It's a beautiful contrast to the rest of the landscape we just analyzed today.
It truly is. Well, that is all the mess we have time to unpack today. Thank you to the Snark Squad for starting your Tuesday morning chaos with us. We love trauma bonding over reality TV with you.
We do. And as always, if you enjoyed this discussion, please remember to share the podcast with your equally invested friends and drop us a rate and review on whatever app you are listening on right now. It helps us keep the iced coffee flowing and the analysis sharp.
Absolutely. We are wishing you all just enough chaos to stay highly entertained at your desks today, but not enough chaos to actually ruin your day. Stay messy, stay chaotic, and we'll see you next time on the Stark Side.